Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has hidden unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure, or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
One thing I've never understood about Israel wandering in the desert is why they felt it necessary to gripe and complain. Once God proved Himself as a strong and loving caretaker of them by bringing them out of Egypt, destroying their enemies, and feeding them daily, if they had a need, why didn't they just ask instead of whining about not having something they felt they needed? They did this all the time through the wilderness wanderings, but at one point they had a strong craving for meat. Manna wasn't enough for them. They cried when they remembered the fish, cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic back in Egypt. If they just asked, God would have had no problem raining these things down from the sky if He wanted to. But they didn't ask. They just complained about what they didn't have. All this complaining finally got Moses mad. But instead of just asking God to provide meat for the people, Moses did exactly what the people were doing. He complained. Yes, complaining is rather catching. When I hear people complain, I tend to get in a complaining mood myself. So Moses went to God. He said, "Why have you dealt so ill with your servants? And why have I not found favor in your sight that you lay the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive these people? Did I give them birth that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries a nursing child to the land that you swore to give to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me and say, 'Give us meat that we may eat.' I am not able to carry all these people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once, if I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." Wow, what a rant. But haven't you done that? I know I have. I can get mad or frustrated at someone or something and go to God, not humble, not in awe of Him as I should be, but blaming Him. After all, it was His idea that got me in this situation in the first place. I didn't ask for this. Sound familiar? I'm amazed at God's response. He doesn't reprimand Moses. He has compassion on him and provides meat like the people wanted, only in such overabundance that it would make them sick. He was proving a point, specifically to Moses and to us too. In verse 23, God said to Moses, "Is the Lord's hand shortened? Now you will see whether my word will come true to you or not." Moses thought it was impossible. He was right. But with God, the impossible is His speciality. He didn't just provide a meal's worth of meat for all those thousands of people. He sent a feast for a whole month. But what might He have done if they had merely asked? What if the people had gone to Moses and said, "We really appreciate the manna, but could you please ask God for a little meat to go with it if He doesn't mind?" If your children asked like that, wouldn't you be perfectly happy to give it to them? Much better than all that whining and complaining. When you complain, you're saying God isn't powerful enough, or He doesn't love us enough. But asking in faith depends on God's power and love, and asking in faith shows that we are His children and know that He will take care of us until it comes out your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, He said. Quail in abundance, overabundance. It went from being a blessing to being a burden to being a plague. God tells us so many times to ask. In fact, James 4:2 says we don't have because we don't ask. Many places say to ask in His name and we will receive. So ask, don't complain. Be specific. And when you receive His blessings, don't forget to thank Him and give Him glory for all He provides. You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com and check out our new website. You can find the address in the description below. I'm Carla Early, and thanks for listening. And remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.